Yeah, but I'm redoing it. Yep, 3 times in a row. Dedication. What's going on, my YouTube people? I'm here today to talk about building a photography studio at home with a limited budget and limited resources. Before we get going on our journey to make photos just like these, go and find a laptop, a computer, open up a new tab, go onto Facebook Marketplace so that you can keep the cost down low and get everything that you need. So, first piece of equipment, and that is the most important, find yourself a light source. When I first got started, I did use Speedlights. However, I did stumble across the DE300. Now, Godox make their own version. However, I'm almost certain that I probably picked up a knockoff. Doesn't matter, they still work with the Godox transmitters and everything Godox, so you're all good. As you can see on the screen, they are somewhat cheap. I purchased mine for about 50 English pounds and actually ended up selling one of mine for about, I think it was about 35. There was nothing wrong with it. All it is that these are wired studio lights and I like the ability to stay wireless. So I ended up paying for that through buying the AD200. But still, definitely a great pickup. It's on the Bowens mount, so it's nice and easy to find adapters, gobos, all that stuff. Soft boxes that are compatible with this light. Moving on to that exactly. So before we actually get to the softbox itself, we need stands. So if you have another search and just type in, as I've done here, I typed in light stands. You can try photography stands. You can change it up, work on that SEO. But as you can see, there are a couple that are here at £10. I'm sure you'll be able to find a few that are reasonably priced. I would say you shouldn't need to necessarily go over the £30 mark for a set of stands, set of used stands anyway. Now going into backdrops. Backdrops can be expensive. I'm gonna let you know that off the get-go. They can be expensive. However, you can be strategic in how you set your backdrops up. I know some people that use bed sheets, even though that's difficult and I've not done it myself. It all depends on what you're trying to shoot, the aesthetic of what you're trying to have as your backdrop. Personally, I started off with the newer backdrop kit. I was fortunate enough to once again have that for Christmas. When I started, that is what I used. I had a black and a white and a green. I've never used backdrop. I mean, that will get you the results that you need at the end of the day. It is hard when you've got shadows that form in the creases. But as I've said many times before, it's not necessarily the equipment being bad. It just means that you've got more time in editing later, so you can still get the job done. Another small hack that might be useful to you guys, try and find yourself at a printing shop. Yes, a printing shop. The reason why I say this, and it depends on who the owner is, if I'm quite honest. I built up quite a relationship with my local printing shop and they were happy enough to sell me kind of like the last of their printing paper. Now I will be using that today just for self-portraits. I've got mine in white. You can of course ask them to print on that paper in a specific color. However, as I was trialing it, I went with the white, and if I'm honest, it's helped me out in so many occasions when it comes to product photography. The first couple of shots that you saw at the start of the video, that was all used with the paper backdrop. I believe I only paid about 15 or 20 pounds of that. There wasn't much of it left, and I would love to get a longer roll so that I can use it for different situations. However, that is an alternate, that is an option. So make sure you explore that option because it might give you what you need. So going into softboxes now, I decided to go straight into the Godox system as I had that for my lights. It's not rectangular. Yeah, I had a square softbox, which does the job. At the end of the day, it's got 2 diffusion points. It makes the light nice and soft when it hits your subject. You've got grids that come along with it, and I actually paid for that new on Amazon. I'm sure I only paid with the light stand as well. I'm sure I only ended up paying about £30. So you can get that brand new and it still be quite affordable. However, as we're on Facebook Marketplace, you guys can already have a look and see what it's about. Now I'm gonna go with this 36-inch softbox just at the top right here, just because of price point, just to show you guys that it is possible. You may not find all of these things straight away on the Facebook Marketplace, but give it some time, give it a couple of weeks at most, and you should find and be able to pick up everything that we are discussing today. Of course, there are many ways to light up a subject in a photography studio. I'm just going with the basics at the moment. once you kind of have the time to build up your equipment, then you can focus on strip boxes and secondary lights and so on and so forth. With that being said, actually, I'm going to touch on Speedlights, because once you get one lighting setup working fine, let's say we've got the Godox D300 or whatever it was called, as long as you buy the receiver, which just plugs in via USB, and you've got a transmitter on your camera, which I'll get to in a moment, that has a direct link with that light. After that process, you can then set up other lights as optical slaves. What that means is flash works really fast. So let's say your main light, that D300 fires. This is all done within milliseconds. So what it will do is it will send off a fire, and the others will see that through their sensors and catch up, basically. So they'll fire all at the same time, meaning you don't have to have a light that is necessarily compatible with the lights that you've got. To simplify things further, if I made lights and James made lights, as long as mine works and James's are on slaves, James are on slaves, then they'll all fire at the same time, providing the shutter speed is right, but we won't get into all that technical jargon. Just know you can keep the cost down low. I stopped off again at tripods just to add in some more money, if I'm honest. I didn't think about the added costs between the backdrop stands and the actual light stands. I'm just gonna add in some more money so that you guys don't think, hey, this guy's just lying about what he's actually spending. Some examples of some Speedlights: you've got some cheap ones that are sitting at £30, some at 25. As I mentioned, pop them in a slave mode and you're all golden. Just to prove I'm not just sending you in a direction and I actually practice what I preach, I rarely, oh, this is the Godox one, whoops. Let's try that again, shall we? Here we go with a newer Speedlight, but I use this as an optical slave. This is actually mounted for the Canon cameras I'm Sony set up. So just to let you know that this is an added extra that can be inexpensive, but it can help your final results. Last but not least, let's not forget cables. I know this is 2021, and if you check out my other videos, you'll see that I've put up things like FTPing, where you can transfer photos wirelessly. However, working in a studio is a lot easier when you are tethered. You get your photos come through relatively immediately. You can review them. You can make sure that they're all in focus. I would strongly recommend that you go and grab yourself a USB-C, a mini USB, whatever your transfer data cable is. Make sure that you tether your photos. It will make your day and your session go a lot better. With all that stuff out of the way, let's get set up. But before we do, I've got a special, massive thank you to Loupedeck. Loupedeck, in reflection to seeing my videos, which I never thought would be a thing, have contacted me, spoken to me about some of my issues that I've had with my Loupedeck, and on top of that, they've sent me goodies. I've made this video a couple of times now, and long story short, I just wasn't happy with how I filmed it. But I actually ended up doing 2 unboxings. One was sending over a hoodie that was the wrong size. It also had the travel case for my Loupedeck Live in it. And upon letting them know, being happy to send back the hoodie, they still sent me out another one that now fits. So I'm super grateful to them. The travel case, like I said, it was already built well, but it just gives you that peace of mind now knowing that nothing's gonna get hit, nothing's gonna get broken, nothing's gonna get scratched. Funny enough, I dropped my phone onto the Loupedeck and I cracked my phone screen. I had one of those protective screens on it, and it cracked the protective screen, but the Loupedeck was fine. So as I mentioned, durability is awesome, but yeah, it's always nice to have it in a nice pouch. So yeah, let's get into it. And I was most certainly gonna do a giveaway, and I'll have to do one another time. Em decided she wanted to keep the other hoodie. Sorry guys. So welcome to the other side of my super small flat. You guys usually end up only seeing that side, small spaces, and we're still gonna get the highest quality that people would never know it was taken in here. So all we should need is maybe from about here up into the door. Yeah, don't do that. I've also got to mention, I really like the Loupedeck packaging. Like, this is what the hoodies came in. It's like really tough paper bag material with Velcro on the ends. I liked it. Em just screamed out reusable and good for the environment. Didn't think of that. For the simple ease of use, as I've upgraded my equipment, I won't be using my Godox softbox. And instead of using the DE300, I will be using the AD200 Pro. They'll both give me similar results. However, if you've got better equipment, use the better equipment. Just note there's no drastic change. You still will be able to get fantastic results with a square softbox and a light that generates just a bit more power. For my normal YouTube talking heads, you'll see that I still use a square softbox here. Investing in video lights and continuous lights is another strain, but that'll be for another video. The main restriction to size in your living space is not so much the width, but the length. This can have a big factor with the lens that you are using. However, be cautious about going too wide as it might start to distort the face. Last but not least, don't forget about your transfer cable. In this case, I'm actually going to be using my monitor, and that's hooked up to my camera just here with the help of a Sony remote to do all my trigger work. Nothing wrong with tethering, it's just when I'm at home, this is the route that I prefer to take. Goodness gracious, I feel like an idiot. I completely forgot the trigger. I'm sure I mentioned it earlier, but triggers aren't that expensive. Finding them on Facebook Market is a thing. However, a new one will cost you approximately £60. I think I paid for this. I'll leave other alternatives on the screen just so you guys can have a look and make that decision for yourselves. Right, let's start showing you how it works. Guys, I'm not going to bore you with how I got to all of my shots. I don't feel like I'm a good enough model to continue on shooting and showing you behind the scenes of a shoot that I do at home. I hope this video has given you the understanding on how to create a studio within confined spaces at the same time. This is just the starting point to studio lighting. Once you have more disposable income that you can put towards photography, you can invest in second lights, maybe speed lights, add in some gels to change the colors. You can get super creative with whatever you want to do in this confined space. If this has motivated you to go out and do the same and get some fantastic results, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you like videos like this where I speak about photography and videography tips, then please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Any questions on the equipment I use, hit me up in the comments. One last massive thank you to Loupedeck, and I'll speak to you on the next upload. Peace. Something that they don't tell you is cleaning up all this crap in a small setting is annoying. Actually, before I am going to go, I am going to talk to you about the quality of these hoodies. I'm super impressed. No problems with this hoodie. I like the wide neck. I'm loving the colors. Most importantly, as I mentioned, the fit is good. Em managed to steal one, the one that I was going to give out to you guys. But once again, Loupedeck, let's sort something out, and hopefully in the future there'll be a giveaway. I'll tell you what, there'll be no giveaways if you don't subscribe. I need to grow, so help me out. I'll speak to you in a bit. Peace.